Hello, this is Crispin Flintoff from Not the Andrew Marr Show. Before this video starts, I'd just like to ask if you'd subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because we will be covering the general election from a totally different perspective from what you get from the mainstream media. We'll be talking about the candidates who are taking on Labour and the Tories and pushing them all the way. So please subscribe and get updates. We're joined on Not the Andrew Marr Show by Katie Parker, who has put herself forward to stand in West Suffolk constituency, which has been the constituency of none other than Matt Hancock. Now, how are you doing, Katie? You all right?
I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to speak on this, because it's good to see candidates coming up in areas like East Anglia, where we haven't had any independents featured on the show yet. You've been a councillor already, so you're not new to this. You're not new to elections, and also at East Anglia, you've been standing before in elections there, and you were councillor in Bury St Edmunds.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what led you to get into politics, and also, what led you to get into being a councillor?
Yeah. Well, it's like just repeating it. It's the same old story. It's so common now. Jeremy Corbyn inspired me, like he did an entire generation, I think, to get involved with politics. And I just thought I would contact the local Labour Party and just ask if I could do some leafleting with them. Not really knowing that much, always having been a socialist, but not having been directly involved in politics. So I sort of started doing some leafleting with them, and then I started speaking to people on the doorsteps. And at first I sort of doubted myself. I thought that I don't know enough about politics. I won't know what to say. But then I realised that actually people just need to be heard. That's what people, when you're knocking on people's doors, they want to feel heard. They want to feel like someone's listening. So it turned out I could do that, and I was quite good at doing that. The next thing, I'm not quite sure how I accidentally became a councillor, but that is actually what happened. They kind of talked me into standing, and I didn't even understand. I'd never even Googled it. I'd never even Googled what a councillor did. And I thought I was just standing as a paper candidate. But then I won, and it was like I'd won X Factor or something. It was like it's hilarious. I was just like, how did this happen? How do you accidentally become a town councillor? But what I think they saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself, which was that I'm actually quite good with the community and talking to people, and I actually did love it. I threw myself into it, was really involved. Everyone knew who I was. I knew who everyone was. The ward was just 2 estates, so it was quite small, but it taught me a lot about how local government works, and like gave me quite a lot of experience in town council meetings, voting on stuff. And but I always felt, well, I knew that I was always like, what's the word? I was like the rogue town councillor. I was like the because I wasn't like the rest of them, because the rest of them were all middle class, mostly middle-aged. I was the youngest, and I'm 48.
So when Jeremy Corbyn lost in 2019, was that a really bad moment for you, and that made you change your mind on politics?
It didn't change my mind, but I can remember I worked in a rehab in Ipswich at the time, and I remember listening to it all live play out on the radio driving there, and I was absolutely devastated. I mean, I still carried on, but a bit, that a little bit of the passion was lost. I couldn't believe it. it was devastating. And then when Starmer came along, I knew I knew what he was. I could see what he was, and I left Labour, so I wasn't kicked out. I would have been kicked out. I always say that. If I'd have stayed, I'd have been kicked out anyway. But yeah, so I just left Labour and joined the Breakthrough Party, but stayed as a councillor. So I did the full 4 years.
The interesting thing that I've noticed from your crowdfunder is that you've written that you were in addiction, and now you're supporting people in your work in a rehab, and also people who have experienced domestic abuse. How? Oh, I mean, that's just such a backstory for someone who's standing in an election, and to reveal that as well, and not to sort of keep it as some kind of secret or something. Why do you think it's important that people know that?
I think I've always just been really open about my past, because that's not me anymore. But also at the same time, my past's kind of made me who I am now. So yeah, so I am pretty much an open book, and I've got nothing to hide whatsoever. I went into the town council being exactly the same. So I am who I am. It's just as simple as that. But I came up to I was actually a heroin addict in Ipswich for 12 years, and I went into rehab in Bury St Edmunds in 2004. So it's been 20 years now. But I left rehab. I'd literally never had a job, couldn't drive, never held a tenancy down, had no belongings, had nothing. And I was 29 then. And it was like, well, I had to sort of start from scratch as like a teenager and sort of build a life for myself. So I stayed after when I left rehab. I stayed up here. I never went back to Ipswich. I really did sort of claw myself up. Started off in a hostel, went into got a 1-bedroom house. Got my first, did volunteering. Got my first job for a Christian drug service in Thetford, which I learned a lot. I saw a lot doing that, and they were brilliant. They were really good. Learned to drive, went to uni, did a foundation degree in substance misuse, and got married, had children. I've literally, I've lived about 9 lives all in one, I think.
Wow. And it's so, I mean, that's an incredible turnaround. You've done all your world has opened up,
Yeah, love it.
from being in addiction, in a small world of fear and darkness, to coming out into the light and doing these things and achieving these things, and then to put your name forward as a council candidate. I mean, could the Katie who was injecting heroin have imagined knocking on people's doors and saying, "Can you vote for me?"
No, absolutely not. I know it's quite weird, really. It's been a bit of a turnaround. But it's like as soon as I think I got into drugs when I was like 17. So I got into it when I was very young, and naive, and then I just didn't know how to get out of it, and I didn't know there was a way to get out of it, or that there was another way to live. I was always quite accepting of, this is me, that I'm a heroin addict and this is my life. So I think once I realised there was another way, and I mean, rehab's brilliant because they literally do break you down and then sort of put you back together again, but different, and sort of teach you coping strategies for life. And I think I always, I don't know, in my using years, I thought I needed to escape from something, from reality. But as it happens, I actually really like reality, and I don't want to escape from anything. And I think that's probably half the battle. It's like create a life that you like and you don't feel the need to escape. Well, I'm not saying that life's perfect, obviously, because nobody's life is. But I do. I'm almost live each day like it's my last day, but in a good way. So I want to experience things and want to try things and make something of my life and for my children as well.
And but the other thing about that is obviously that your background, you have no grandiosity. You're not pompous. You've
Yeah.
been at the bottom of the rung, and you've been with people as well. Your people that you were with at that time would have been some of the most vulnerable people in society, and you've lived with them as an equal. So you've got no airs and graces in that way, have you?
Not at all. So we're all fellow humans at the end of the day. And it's only a few choices that can, you can end up, all sorts of things can happen within a few bad choices. But we're all just, I think that it's important to respect everybody.
Standing as an independent in the next general election is quite a big thing to do. What pushed you to make this decision to stand?
I've got balls of steel. I have. I've been thinking about it. I've been pondering it for ages and ages. Because I just believe that even round here, which is kind of always been predominantly Tory, and the demographic is older and middle class, I still think that people should have a choice of a socialist to choose for, to vote for. So if nothing else, I feel like I've given people that choice. I mean, I see all the other independents on Twitter or X, and I feel like something's brewing. I feel like something's brewing, and it's good. It's getting bigger, and it's still relatively below the surface at the moment. But I've just got a really good. It's like a little glimmer of that hope that I had with Corbyn. It's like a little glimmer of that hope. It's like maybe this is going to be this is what's going to really change things.
Have you got you've got people to support you locally? Have you got?
Yeah, got loads and loads of people all helping me. They all are already. I've got like a massive team of so many people that want to help and get involved. So yeah, it's not just me on my own. I might be standing as an independent, hopefully, but I've got lots and lots of people involved.
Wow. Well, that's great. That's great to know. And you still need this money to get off the ground. So we'll put the crowdfunder link out for you. And also, if anyone wants to contact you about campaigning for you once you've got off the ground, is the best. What is it? Twitter and.
Yeah, Twitter probably is the best. I spent half my life on there.